What is up, guys? Legend of Josty here, coming at you with a Gohan Piccolo deck profile for the new Surge Leader that's coming out in the expansion January 17th, 18th. I am so excited for this leader. I have been testing a lot, and I think this leader has so much potential. Going over the leader real quick. He's blue-green. One of the new Surge leaders. I think out of the 4 that have been revealed, by far he's probably, personally, my favorite and probably the strongest in my opinion. Everyone knows what he does. He's been super hyped up. The fact that you draw 2 at the beginning of your turn and even draw 1, even if you go first, is so strong, and it gives you such an advantage going throughout the game. The leader itself is strong on both sides. With the style of deck, you want to try to stay on the front side as long as possible. Because your main engine is, it's your boy, it's Gogeta. Everyone's familiar with him, probably one of the best boss monsters right now in the game. And your 2 union pieces that go along with Gogeta are 4 Vegeta the Cruel and 4 of the new Gokus coming out in the expansion with the leader, the Kaioken Son Goku Returns. This card is such a utility card in this deck. He's union fodder. He is basically a double negate. So his autos, you KO this card when one of your opponent's battle cards with an energy cost of 6 or less attacks, you negate the attack. And then it has revive, so you're able to negate it, KO the card, revive it, and be able to negate another attack. It is so strong, and I think in the meta currently, the card is very good. It gives you extra defense to make sure you're able to stay alive till turn 5 to be able to play Gogeta. It's extra pressure because you can attack with it and not have to worry about it. Overall, the card helps this deck out a lot. So going into some of the extra cards, we have your negates that you'll be mostly using, which are 4-dimension magic and 2 sacrifice. I personally chose sacrifice over Shocking Death Ball due to the fact that because your leader's a Namekian, you don't have to have sparking. You can just take a life. It makes staying alive a lot easier, and if you're tapped out, you still are able to use life as a resource to make sure you're able to negate the attacks. With this deck, I try to stay alive, or I take damage until I get to 4, and once I get to 4, you kind of sit back, negate the attacks, don't do anything, because once you play Gogeta, you go to 3, and then your leader's Surge is alive because you have to be at 3 or less. Another extra card that is huge in this deck is Hidden Potential. It's another new card coming out in the expansion. It is just a better preemptive strike. For blue and a green, the battle card that your opponent plays with cost 4 or less goes right to drop, and you get to restand an energy. So not only is it a preemptive, but it's only really a 1 cost, which is so huge because you're able to play Hidden Potential and still have energy up for negate, Senzu Beans, combo power. It is very, very good. Some of the tech options. So after you play Gogeta, you run Focus Breakthrough to help cover for Champa, because Champa is really the only answer to Gogeta right now in this format. And so if they go to Champa, you're able to take a life or pay 1, make the Champa go right to drop, and that way your Gogeta stays standing. And then you use your leader ability, make them warp 2 to go to 1, and then you follow up with Dark Temptation Toa, which makes them discard their last card, and it gives your leader 5k. So on your kill turn, you're going to have Gogeta, a 15k beater, and your leader who's now at 20k. It makes it very consistent to kill. Another tech card I run is Popo Guardian's Aid. It is whenever this card attacks or is comboed, you can burst up to 3, and because of the fact that you want to have sparking 10, Popo helps a lot, because if you aren't being attacked a lot or you need to be offensive, you're able to combo the Popo, pitch cards, and you're fine. Some of the other finishers I run in the deck as well are 2 Bad Omen. The card is very utility friendly in blue-green decks, whether it's mid-range or control, which you kind of fit under with this style of deck. It helps clear the board. you're able to replay it from your drop with your leader skill. So you're able to do it 3 or 4 times a game if need be, if it's a super drawn out game. So you're always going to have answers. Another card I run as a finisher in case like you're playing against Baby and you're at 2 or 1 life and Gogeta isn't an option. The 5-drop Ultimate Fusion Gogeta is just a 25k double striker, draws 2. He's just a good overall secondary finisher, paired up with like Bad Omen and Dark Temptation Toa, and you can go wide with the deck. Like, the main focus of the deck is Gogeta, but it's not a necessity. You are able to do other things with the deck. Some of the cards I'm not running, but you can run, Piccolo Assimilated Ability. I still think this card is extremely strong. And the fact that you are a blue-green leader, you do get Dimension Magic, so tapping out isn't as bad. I personally don't really have room for it. I would like to run it, but it just feels awkward in my build. The card is so strong. New Fountain Power, Son Gohan. This could be with the Son Gohan, Master and Pupil. It could be Awakening Talent Pan. Any of the 1 or 2 drop, or even like the Goku from set 9, when you play you can take up to 1 or 2 life and restand an energy at the end of turn. Anything like that just help the self awaken, because you need to make sure you're at 4 life when you go to play Gogeta. I think the format, there's a lot of aggressive decks right now, and I don't necessarily think I need self awakening. I don't think the deck needs it, but if you feel like you need self awakening or you want the extra pressure, those are good cards to add. I personally have this card in my sideboard, but you can run it main board as well. The Son Gohan and Piccolo, Pupil and Master. It's another really good card to add pressure. It's a threat that needs to be answered, and it's extremely hard to get off the board because it has Revive. It constantly is picking cards out of your opponent's hand. It's a 15k, so they have to out-combo it. It has Barrier, so if they do have an answer to it or attack, you're able just to revive it and bring it right back. I think those all are quality cards that could be added into the deck, but I don't necessarily run it because I don't think it's needed. So going over the full list, the deck is super defensive. You run a total of 9 negates, 13 if you include the 4 Gokus. Your win con is so strong. Like, if your opponent's at 3, you play Gogeta, you use leader ability, you play Toa, and they have no cards in hand. And then you just swing with Gogeta, and you kill them. There's a lot of answers in the deck. If they flood the board with blockers, you can stall the turn and use Android 21, use the Union Fusion Gogeta, the 5-drop, or Arrival the Son Goku and Gohan, to be able to clear the blockers to make sure you're able to solidify Gogeta hitting. And your leader gives such a good advantage early game and late game because you're able to constantly see what you're drawing. You're drawing 2 cards per turn guaranteed. You don't have to attack. You can just sit back and you don't have to be aggressive. You can just be controlling. Downsides to the deck. Aggro. Baby, if you go second, you're gonna have a bad time. It's doable, but it's really hard. With this deck, you don't want to charge multicolor turn 1, going second against Baby. They will eat you up. If they get the 6-drop Baby on board, turn 2, you have a rough time coming back from that. Kind of like when I went over the Gohan, the self-awakening is an issue. If you play decks like Shenron decks or anything like that that don't really attack you for the first couple turns and you aren't able to take life, it is rough. You want to be able to make sure you're at 4 life because you run Paragus and everything like that. Once you get to 4 life, the deck just stalls until you play Gogeta. At least that's how I personally built it. And some of the cards that I'd mentioned on the Consider cards, the list to me is really tight. I have a hard time trying to fit those things in. It feels to me like there's very little flex spots in this deck to be able to fit in what you want. Different sideboard decks, like I had mentioned, I run the Gohan, Piccolo, Master and Pupil in the sideboard. Mafuba's a great sideboard card option. Fu the Dark Banisher is another good option against like Hachiyak or other even like Beers, if you're able to do something like that. Other than that, guys, I am so excited for this leader. I think this deck's extremely strong. It has a lot of answers. I don't see a lot of weaknesses in the deck. Everything seems to flow really smooth. You have a lot of different answers. You have different kill cons, so Gogeta is the centerpiece of the deck, but if you don't get to Gogeta, you don't win. So you are able to do other things. With this being my first video, let me know in the comments if you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, anything I can do better. Don't forget to like, subscribe for more videos. We'll be coming at you with a lot more. I'm excited for this year. We have a lot of stuff planned for you guys. Other than that, there's my deck profile. Let me know, like I said, if you guys have any questions. Talk to y'all later.